Weirdos, my name is Felicia and I like scary movies, and today we're talking about a movie that I've been hearing the rumblings about for like 2 years. It came out in 2017 in Mexico, and that is Tigers Are Not Afraid. This was of course on the festival circuit for a long time before we got it here in America. It just hit some select theaters and Shudder, but Tigers Are Not Afraid was on Guillermo del Toro's top 10 horror films of 2017 list. Stephen King also, I think he tweeted about it saying that he thought it was terrific and a great film or whatever. And so I feel like I've just been in this waiting period of like, what's this movie everyone's talking about? Am I ever gonna get to see it? But now I'm done complaining and I want to talk about this film. So, came out 2017, written and directed by Issa Lopez, who is a female Mexican director. She's had a pretty great film career in Mexico. She was actually known for writing romantic comedies, which she says in an interview that I heard that she's not actually a fan of. She then directed a couple of comedy films, and this is the first movie that she feels like is fully like her heart, her aesthetic, what she wants to be making, but it did take her a while to make this movie. The interview I watched was Guillermo del Toro interviewing Issa Lopez. I will link the interview in the description below. It's about an hour long, but it's really, really good. One thing I love that she says in it is that she went to the producer she had worked with previously, and she was like, I want to make this film. And the Spanish title is actually Vuelven, which means they return. But anyway, she brought the script to her producers, and they were like, this isn't a comedy nor a romantic comedy, we can't do this. And she's like, okay, well, if you aren't gonna do it, I'm gonna take this script to another studio, and if they take it, I will forever give my scripts to that studio and not to you anymore. And so she sort of like tight-armed them, what's that word, and got them to produce the film. And now I can finally say I've seen it and I did love it. It is structured like a dark fairy tale, and it's about this gang of 5 kids in Mexico that are trying to survive the Mexican drug war, and also ghosts. As soon as this movie came on, and I did have very high expectations for it, and sometimes that's very dangerous, but from the moment the movie started, I felt very captivated by it, and I was so amazed by these kid actors. I'll talk about them in a minute. I just think she did an amazing job on this movie. It's got so much real life horror and supernatural horror mixed together really, really well. That aspect of it and the fairy tale aspect sort of did remind me of Pan's Labyrinth a little bit. The movie basically opens up with this sort of voiceover about fairy tales, and I can't remember if they say this right at the beginning, but throughout the movie they say this phrase. They say, we are princes, we are warriors, we are tigers, and tigers are not afraid. And it's just this beautiful thing of these children that are living in the middle of a cartel war, like just very, very scary times that is still going on in Mexico, by the way. And they've sort of formed their own reality that they use for survival, and some of that is actual supernatural stuff going on in the movie, and some of it is kids playing pretend and making a makeshift family for themselves, because it's all these kids that have lost their parents. But okay, let me talk about the kids for a second now. So what was one of the craziest things that I learned about this movie is none of the kids in it have had any previous acting training whatsoever. They did have a long workshopping period with the kids, I believe, and they did a lot of like improv techniques with them and things like that, but the kids were never given a script. So Issa shot the movie in chronological order and just sort of talked to the kids through the movie as they filmed it, which is pretty crazy to me. They shot for, I believe she said 36 days and on a budget of 1.3 million. But anyways, these kids are spectacular, particularly the child that plays El Shine, who's sort of the leader of the gang. He's played by Juan Ramon Lopez, and this little boy, I could not believe his acting. I could also tell that he wasn't an actor at the same time, because everything he was going through in the film felt too real to me. Like, it was like his performance was like gutting me. It was incredible. And then also the girl that plays Estrella, Paula Lara, she was also really incredible. And the thing that I was amazed about in these kids is they just felt so truthful and honest and simple. Like the acting, like everything about it was very simple, and I don't know, you just sort of fell in love with them. And so when anything bad happened to them, it was so horrifying, because so much bad has already happened to these kids. Like, you wanted to protect them in this way. And that's another thing that's interesting about the supernatural aspect of the movie. This supernatural being of sorts attaches itself to Estrella, and she is following her around with very beautiful visual effects, I might add. And it's this interesting thing because it's, in some ways, it sort of feels like the supernatural force is torturing her, but it also sort of feels like it's leading her to where she needs to go to survive. So it's dark, but it's also loving. It takes sort of the form of her mother, but is extremely full of darkness at the same time. And back to the visual effects for a second in this movie, they really did some beautiful things that I've never really seen done in a supernatural horror film before, that I really enjoyed. But I just thought that every choice that they made felt so simple and effective, I guess is that what I'll say. I feel like in this review I'm not really sure what else to say to you except for that I love this movie. I felt extremely moved by it. I felt hurt by it, and I recommend watching it. If you have Shudder, you should go watch it. If it's in a select city near you, you should go watch it. But I feel really excited for Issa Lopez and the fact that this film has really come and made a big splash in America, so we can see more of her films, especially in the horror genre. The next thing that has been announced is that her and Del Toro are working on a werewolf movie together, which is like dreams come true. But I feel really excited for her. Of course, I'm always like really down for female directors to be coming up in the world, and she seems pretty incredible and like she has a lot to say, so I'm very excited about her. But anyways, I love Tigers Are Not Afraid. It is brutal, it is heartfelt, it is hard to watch, and it is totally captivating to watch. It's like you don't want to watch certain parts, but you also can't look away, and it's really great. So let me know if you checked it out and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Have a nice scream. Bye.